It was only out of spite at first, dating Dad's bodyguard. I just wanted to prove a point, to show him that whether or not he let me out, I could still get into what he calls unsavory situations. I wanted my parents to see that locking me in the house was not helping. But you know what? The more I spent time with Daniel, the more I began to like him. And when I realized that, I knew I was in a tough spot. I never meant to fall in love. How would I break it to him? And should I? My troubles began because I got famous quite early in life. I was a commercial model. Story goes, when I was 2 years old, my mom was on a shopping spree one day, and she took me along. Some lady from an ad agency saw me at the mall and out of nowhere offered my mom her card. The lady told my mom that I could make a lot of money in commercials, and the rest was history. My mom immediately transformed into a stage mom, buying me the cutest clothes imaginable, making sure I had the best quality food, teaching me night and day how to be cute in front of the camera. I booked shoots everywhere. One time when I turned 4, this huge company flew me all the way to Switzerland to do a commercial for chocolate. I went home with a year's supply of it and a fat check. Sadly enough, I saw none of it. I saw none of the things I ever earned. Not the money, not the swag, not even the free catering on set. My mom kept it all. The money? She said she was just keeping it so it was safe. Because she said I was still a kid, I wouldn't know how to spend it. She said one day, when I came of age, it would be there waiting for me. As for the swag that I got from the companies I worked for, she gave them all away. She said lots of kids were in need and that seeing as we were doing all right because of my jobs, that it was better to give it all away. I never had an issue with that, but even the food during shoots, my mom never let me have either. She said I shouldn't eat what the caterers make because it'd make me fat and then nobody would hire me anymore. All that dutiful mothering and pampering she showered me with when I first started modeling disappeared. She was only nice when I was about to go on camera. When it was just us, she neglected me. At home, I only wore old clothes and shoes with holes. She just ignores me. At the time, since we weren't using my earnings, my mom and I were not rich. And she didn't do any work either. My dad was the only one who used to work, but he left before I was even born. We weren't exactly poor, but we never had any extra money, and our house was a bit of a mess. When a billionaire and his sons moved next door to us, his twin sons always teased me about my old tattered clothes and called our house a dump. Ryan and Henry were total pricks to me the moment I met them. "Why do your clothes have holes, Marina?" "'Cause Mom gave all my designer clothes to poor kids." "Ha! That's a lie. You can't afford designer clothes." "The brands I model for give me things, but my mom gives them to charity 'cause we don't need them." "By the looks of you, you need them a lot more." "Look, Rye, Marina's shoes don't even have the same laces." I ran from them crying. I vowed from that day forward that I would be richer than they ever could be. It was around high school that I really started getting noticed at school. Puberty hit me hard, and my hair, which I never cut since I was young, got a lot of attention. Wherever I walked, people would stop and stare. They'd be especially mesmerized if there was a breeze blowing. It was also around that time that Ryan and Henry's dad took a liking to my mom. In no less than 2 weeks, they were married. I guess I was kinda happy for my mom, but that meant that I'd be living in the same house as my 2 greatest tormentors. One day, my agent called me and said I should take some time off because she just booked me a gig. Little did I know that that was the modeling gig that would change my life forever. I'd landed a massive ad campaign for an international shampoo company, and when that ad campaign launched, I gained instant fame. People around the world began to follow me on Insta, Twitter, TikTok. They even stalked me on Facebook. That was when my new dad decided I needed to be kept safe. Even at school, it was a bit hectic. My classmates always flocked towards me the moment my dad's bodyguard would drop me off. And then came the fans. Every morning and afternoon, there'd be a crowd outside my school's gates, and they would shout my name. Marina! Marina! Look over here! Please, Marina! We just want your autograph! Marina! Marina, hold my baby! Daniel had to shield me from hundreds of admirers all the time. And so my dad decided to pull me out of school and forbid me to go out except if it was for work. You have to understand, sweetie. I'm doing this for your own good. There are a lot of bad people out there. Now that you're famous, we need to protect you. But what about my friends? School? I want a life outside this house, too. Well, hun, you can do all that from the comfort of your home, can't you? Ugh, I'm going to my room. He had Daniel following me everywhere I went. It was really frustrating. We were already behind walls and inside our estate, but Daniel was still my shadow. What was he supposed to protect me from? Squirrels? Wild pigeons? But then I realized if Dad wanted me to have a life inside, I would show him exactly how I intend to live that life. I started dating Daniel to spite him. We took walks in the estate together, snuck outside at night together, and went on picnics and watched movies together. And I made it extremely public. Once, I even posed with Daniel for some paparazzi who managed to sneak into the house and hid in some of the bushes. I made sure they got photos of us kissing. That was what sparked even more fame for me. Headlines read, "Teenage supermodel caught smooching with bodyguard." My dad was furious. "No, this won't do. You can't make your bodyguard your boyfriend. This is outrageous." "It's your fault." "No, I forbid it. I will fire him." "Do that, and I'll tell the press." But my dad was not deterred. He instructed my stepbrothers to court me. He said if I was going to have a boyfriend, it had to be someone he approved of. But gross! Ryan and Henry are my brothers. Step brothers. And it's legal, I think. Dad, you're so gross! But despite my protests, they didn't stop. Ryan and Henry tried to take me on dates whenever they could. They took time away from me and Daniel, and since it was the only chance of me ever getting out of the house, I sometimes felt that I needed to say yes when they invited me. When I was with Daniel, I was not allowed out. But when my brothers asked me out, my dad would let me go with them. But no matter where they took me and how many expensive dresses and jewelry they bought me, my heart was still with Daniel. Through this all, my mom, more than anything, was extremely jealous. I was growing up and becoming more and more beautiful, and my hair was the talk of everyone she knew. It was on magazine covers, billboards, even on TV. My mom resented me for that, and when Daniel and I became the subject of rumors in tabloids and TV news, she'd had enough. She waited for me to fall asleep, and then, without waking me, she cut my long, flowing hair. When I woke up, I screamed in horror. All around me were the discarded locks of my beautiful hair, lifeless and ugly. I cried and I sobbed. I was living in a nightmare, and Daniel held me. For all they've done for me, I was grateful. But for all my family had done to me, I wanted to get them back. I started with my mom. I sued her for all the money I'd earned that she never gave me. It turned out she'd been spending every cent of it without telling me. The swag bags and gifts that I received from the companies I worked for, the ones she said she gave to charity, she gave them away to my cousins and whichever friend she had who had kids my age, all to gain their favor. I made sure the court demanded every single thing she took from me, and that she pay me for every dollar I earned since I was 2. That made my dad bankrupt. Since Mom never worked in her life, she was totally dependent on him. And guess what? My mangled hair? I shaved it all off, and the press loved it. I started a trend overnight. Everywhere I went, I saw girls sporting really short haircuts. That drove my mom crazy. That despite everything she did, I still came out on top. I never stopped working. Even though I'd taken all my family's money, I still know the value of hard work. And of course, I never want to be reliant on my bank account, especially since I just made a big purchase last month. Remember when Ryan and Henry used to tease me about living in a dump? Well, I just got the deed to my family's house. Since my dad's business was failing and he'd basically paid for my mom's lawsuit and my settlement, he was flat broke. I bought the house from them. I'm not evil. I didn't want to kick them out without any money, but I bought the house at well below market value. The best part? I'm evicting them all today, and Daniel will be moving in with me.